Generally, it's considered good practice not to have a lot of high stakes testing in an online course. Having an entire grade based upon a final exam is likely to produce some real disappointment, both for you and your students. Now, what that means is that a lot of times when you're creating online courses, you want to do a lot of formative testing, quizzes along the way, not necessarily even quizzes that count for a grade, but just as self-tests. So in this video segment, we're going to take a little bit of a look at creating quizzes. And what we'll do is we'll first look at the process of creating quizzes and surveys. Surveys, in a sense, are quizzes that you are not grading and where you want to get at the individual attributes, whereas a quiz is normally for a grade, though it doesn't have to be. You can also talk about how we'll add questions to quizzes, and in quizzes you have questions and question groups or question sets, and these question sets can be used as a way of getting random questions inserted into a quiz each time it's taken. And so we'll talk a little bit about that, and then we'll talk about some of the different types of questions you can incorporate into a Canvas quiz. So creating a quiz is pretty easy, and what we're going to do is we're going to add the sort of getting started quiz to the module here. And what I'm going to do here is I keep clicking the gear. That's an artifact to the old module. So now here I'm just going to click the plus button, get the quiz. We'll create a new quiz, and we'll call this getting started review, and then we will click on add items. Now I could change the group. I only have a group assignment, so I'm not going to worry about that. That's for the grade book so that you can have different categories of grades. So we'll come into getting started review. And now what we have is a shell for a quiz. Now I'll go into edit mode here. And the first thing I'll do is take a look at the settings. My instructions are going to be take this quiz at the end of your getting started activities, and we'll call this a graded quiz. We can shuffle the answers. I'll allow multiple attempts, keep the highest score. Maybe we'll allow 2 attempts. We won't let you see your responses. We'll show 1 question at a time. Now, if I require an access code, then I have to give you the code to go into the quiz. We're not going to do that for this, but you can do that for security reasons. Okay, so those things look pretty good. So now what I will do is I will save. Now we have a quiz shell, but we need to add questions. To add questions, we go back into edit mode. We come over to questions. And what I'm going to do here is I am first going to bring in a whole bunch of questions. Well, not a whole bunch, but like a dozen questions that I created in the Respondus video, which follows. This will just give me some questions to work with. You can actually create question banks, but you'll notice the Getting Started 01, I created that question bank earlier. We won't add this to a question group. We'll now add these questions. So now we have a whole bunch of questions. You'll notice some of them include graphics. You have a lot of flexibility of these, and these were all imported from a Word file in the Respondus activity. Now, what we're going to do is a variety of things. First, why don't we add a few more questions of our own? And what I will do here is I will actually come to the course workbook off screen here, and I will copy something from the first page, a list of activities that participants were supposed to be able to do. And then I'll use that to create some questions. So the first thing I will do here is I'll add a new question. We'll make this a multiple choice question. And what I will then do, just to make things easier, is I'll just paste in this list of activities into a text file so I don't accidentally find myself including formatting that I don't want. I find that pasting things into Notepad on a Windows machine is a very good way of making sure that you don't accidentally incorporate formatting, because you can waste a certain amount of time with that. All right, so let's see. What we'll do is we'll say, we'll create a simple question. Which of the following is not an activity that will be covered in the course? And then what I'll do is I'll bring up the text file. This is a good activity. So this will put this as a wrong answer. We'll add another answer here. Notice the red indicates a wrong answer in this editor. Okay, so we'll do add another answer, the wrong answer, and then maybe we'll add a right answer here, which is not an activity that will be covered in the course. Let's see, what's something I am not going to cover? The use of WebEx for conferencing. Okay, that looks reasonable. I guess 4 answers is enough. Let's update the question, see what we've got. We can actually look at the question details if we come up here to the top, so that we can actually see what's in the question. We'll come down here to the bottom. All right, so that looks good. Now what we'll do is we'll create another question along the same lines. Which of the following is an activity that is covered in the course? Now what we can do here is, and you can also do things like drag answers around, perhaps, well, maybe not until you actually have answers. All right, so a right possible answer is the large classes. A wrong answer is use WebEx for conferencing. Let's see, what's another thing that we don't do? Learn basics of student databases. Learn to access rosters on Oasis. And I'm not going to make you suffer through watching my pathetic typing throughout all these things. Let's just see if I can. Sometimes you can drag these things around, but since it's randomizing the answers, I guess it's just going to let me do that. So you can actually choose what type of answers that you want here. Now, what I will do at this point is I'll update the question. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a question group, because one of the things that we have here is a lot of questions that are similar. So we'll call this the activity group, and we'll pick one question from this group. So now I'm going to create this activity group, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this question down into it. And I am going to drag this question into it if I can get it. Oops. All right, where is that group? I'm a little bit of trouble here. Fine. There it is. I'm used to using a somewhat larger window. Okay, so now what you see is we've got two questions in this activity group. And what it's going to do is when you run the quiz, it's going to choose one of those two questions randomly. Now we'll create some other activity groups. And those groups, by the way, can be imported if you do it in Respondus. I demonstrated that in the Respondus exercise. So what we'll do is we'll create another question group called the objective group. Course objectives. Create a group, and then we'll try and drag this up to the top. This does not happen very fast, sadly. Okay, so we've got this course objectives group. Now what I'll do is I'll drag I think I've got 4 course objective questions. Got to get that landing into the, boy, it doesn't land that easily into the group things, I'm going to say. Oh, you know why? Because maybe if I get rid of the question details, it'll be a little easier. All right, so now we can drag it. Yeah, that's much easier. Because I have a whole bunch of different questions on course objectives. And now we'll create one more group. I have to go down to the bottom. Course technology group. We'll drag the sucker up so it's a little easier to get stuff in it. Okay, looks like I've got them. Oh, but I didn't want the matching one. Jeepers. All right, so I guess we've got it close enough. So now what happens is we've got some question groups where we've got similar questions. We've got some questions that everybody has to answer. And now what we can do is we can save this. And now let's just preview and see what the quiz is going to look like. So we have question 1, course objectives. This is I give it one question at a time. We go on to the next one. Notice since there was only one question to be answered in the group, it randomly chose one from there. Now here's one from the technology section. Here's a computer store question. Everybody does this one. Oh no, actually there were 2 questions in that particular group. And then the matching question everybody does. And then we've got how did you acquire your system. And that was an essay question. And then where was it recommended you buy your system. And then we have one question from the activity group. So basically what we've got now is you have a quiz that you can We'll submit it anyways because I'm an instructor. It doesn't go anywhere. And that is the basics of creating a quiz. Just as a review, there are a variety of different question types that you can consider. So we'll just go into this quiz and just briefly take a look when we click on Add Questions to look at the different types of questions, because I just showed multiple choice. So you've got multiple choice questions, true or false questions, those are easy. Fill in the blanks, and with fill in the blanks you can specify as many answers as you might want to. So for example, in the question about where did you acquire or where did we recommend you acquire your system, I think I included computer store, USF computer store, USF and USF bookstore, because those are all answers that people might reasonably give. Fill in multiple blanks allows you to sort of construct a question, and what you end up doing is you end up adding variables for different answers, and then basically they show the format here. And what this does is allows you to actually construct sentences that way. These are all automatically graded. Let's see where some of the other multiple answers. Here you can have a question where you've got multiple right answers and you get a certain number of points for each answer. Multiple drop downs. Basically, this is a little bit like the fill in the multiple blanks, except this time each one is a drop down, so you don't have to worry about students mistyping something. Matching questions, basically you match left side and right side. I have an example of that in the Getting Started quiz. Numerical answers, you can specify an answer with an error margin, which is good for questions that involve a computation. Formula questions, I've never actually used those, but I think in that case what you do is you actually specify a specific formula according to a format that they give, but I have not actually used those. Essay questions, these will not be automatically graded, but you can in fact specify an answer, a test answer that you might want to use. At least you can in Respondus. I don't actually see the space here. File upload question involves giving the students the ability to upload a file. So you could actually, in this case, sort of combine a quiz with an assignment, and a text is just might be used as a separator or a way of blocking out different questions. So those are the basic question types that you can create. And as I say, for sort of self-paced courses where you've got a lot of right answers, creating a big test question bank and using these periodic small quizzes is a really good way of keeping students engaged and also kind of tracking their progress.